Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out some tracks off of an album by Aktu el Shabazz titled K.K.F.W.B. And if we switch over to here, we are going to be listening through the first three tracks off of this album: Buttermilk, Kumate, and Shiesty, featuring Joe Sig. So without further ado, we're going to listen through each of these tracks from start till finish, hear what we think. Let's go. There's just so much interesting stuff occurring here. You've got that bass there, the filtered drum kit, some interesting synth parts here with some filtering and oscillation in there, those different vocal chops in the lady and the guy saying the buttermilk stuff. I don't know if that's an indication of the hook, but we are not screwing around.
Like a buttermilk bitch get smooth. Like a buttermilk bitch get smooth. Like a buttermilk bitch get smooth. Like a buttermilk bitch. Thinking if I spat trash like a Mercules, maybe you'd wake the fuck up and check the merch release and virtual rise. I heard the beat, I burned the beast, the birds and bees. Your wife, you go and learn for free. Where you from? Where you at? Nigga, third degree. Life of vibe be sweet, and I'm serving a piece. I'm swerving the streets, a nigga be armed to the teeth. I'm King T'Challa, why these niggas try to challenge the chief? Feel like
to be honest with you, part of what I appreciate about what Aktu el Shabazz is doing this early on into the album is encouraging you to listen really close to those vocals. The production is solid. Part of me was initially like, the sides sound quite resonant. Wow. They sound quite resonant on the sides, but at the same time, part of me is also like, hang on, but what if that was done on purpose? What if that was done so that you really have to pay close attention to what he's saying in the center? Because you can still hear the center vocals, the main vocals, really, really well. It's just that, like, it kind of encourages you to kind of sink deeper into it, you know?
Took it personally, treating life like that Riddick movie, kill what I keep. I'm in the sheets with the mouse, with the rabbit and keef. I'm hardly out the fucking palace, keep it unlock a key. It was written like a lease, but it was spitted.
Nice development there of the symbols.
This whole damn cipher can sleep. There's some big boy moves and some champion things. Feel like Kobe with the trophy and the champion ring. I'm talking.
Oh, dude, it's just so charming here. That lo-fi hip-hop rap vibe here, it's great fun. I'm really impressed with it so far. You know, there's a bit of smack talk in there occasionally, like talking about showing someone's wife the lessons about the birds and the bees, but that's fine. And like talking something to the chief, but that's okay. That's part of the genre. That swagger, that bravado is fantastic. I eagerly await what continues next.
Like a buttermilk biscuit smooth. Like a buttermilk
Hook line repeated.
Like a buttermilk biscuit.
And it's like the delivery of it, schmooze, that's an interesting way of approaching that word. It's not something I've really heard before, so I'm putting that kind of emphasis on that one before. Now, because that is a unique experience, I will remember it. And that's really important for a first track off of your introduction to an artist, especially an album. Because with an album, sometimes it's like, oh man, this is my first try with someone and I've got to listen through all 10 tracks just to get the hang of them. But it is smooth.
Cream of the crop, never stop, never lose. Who done popped up at the box like I do? Kept it hot as the molten lava, do not make a move. The shit, my life or yours, do not make me choose. Suicide, it's a suicide. Do or die, pressure reply that you or I. What you surprise, play stupid.
I mean, I'm nodding my head subconsciously. This groove, chord note accents.
I could siphon the earth, leave nothing breathing. I could even take the life of the earth. I'm spitting death in this verse like an ancient curse. Handle your effortless, upper echelon, flow pestilence.
I like that we're talking about these curses and ending the earth and stuff like that, and pestilence and all that. We got ourselves a vocabulary here, and we are exploring it. I like the creativity of that wordplay there. I dig it. It's an interesting story. And when you compare it to the smooth as a buttermilk biscuit, it's an interesting contrast between that. It's literally the point of a verse and a chorus, is that they're supposed to contrast with the verse allowing more context overall. Both parts are being used optimally by Aktu el Shabazz. Nice bridge.
Like a buttermilk biscuit smooth. Like a buttermilk biscuit smooth.
We got that, but well, they're kind of vocal chop there repeated, but it isn't getting boring. It isn't becoming, you know, stale. And we're using it to doing it as an outro. It's great. Cool. Good job. There might be a flanger or a phaser on that filtering there. It's interesting production, to be sure. Dope. Yeah, I can't fault that one. That was a genuinely well-made song. You know, the vocals were solid. There was an interesting motif there, was expanded upon at the end. No complaints. Kumate.
Well, Huey is very interested in martial arts, and I do a little Taibo myself.
Have you heard of the Kumate? Did you say Kumate? Uh-huh, the Kumate. What's the Kumate?
Instant vibe shift from what we have with Buttermilk. Great variety, flexibility with the delivery and the tonalities and coloration of the music.
Kumate is a typical invitation-only martial arts tournament with the deadliest fighters in the world. So you like Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Great sense of humor as well.
Oh no, the Kumate is real. It's really real.
I love the thought that's been put into this. You know, it's like the different sides of Aktu el Shabazz as a musician, and because there's been that change, I want to hear all of it, primarily because I know that even if we get massive shifts, it'll probably be okay. Was that like a theremin or something like that?
Snap like matchstick spines. Put the whole city on by my own. Dropping new videos by my own. Young nigga get it all by my own. Young nigga did it all by my own. Hold up. Done so slack on the low. Killer kung fu wolf, bitch pack cold. Class been platinum, pack since flow. Portside Prince, how I did it on my own. Done so slack on the low. Killer kung fu wolf, bitch pack cold.
I dig it. We're talking about our flow like a martial art. We're talking about our biz and our hustle like a martial art. I dig it. It's not necessarily the first time I've heard it kind of compared to something like that, but I like it. There is such a pretty sort of synth layer, a little bit of sparkle on top among these really smooth bass synths, if they are bass synths. There could be like another type of bass instrument, but it's everything is so precise and there's a sense of clarity among the mix, and I'm like, honestly, the way that it kind of does, and those little piano keys, little starry bits, they float between the headphones like that. I'm trying to figure out that sound design because I'm familiar with it. That is mix and mastering at its best. Like, the fact that the sound sounds like it's swirling around is not an easy thing to get. And it's something that a lot of people might not even consider wanting to sort of to mess around with, but that's the level we're at now, where Aktu el Shabazz and everyone else, it's you know, whoever, I'm just so impressed by this. I'm just so impressed by this, like, for real. I legitimately don't know how you could really improve on it.
You kill one man, you kill a dozen. It's all the same. I mean, they can only hang you once, right? Right, am I right? Am I right? Come on now, you leave me hanging. Thanks for inviting a killer kung fu wolf bitch to the crib, granddad.
Think I knew she was a killer kung fu wolf bitch? She ain't said nothing about no damn Kumate, Kumate, coon, black coon. And don't just look.
I'm actually wondering if that was sampled from something. Was that conversation sampled from something? It sounds like it's from like a TV show or something like that. My brain is saying like Boondocks or something like that, but it could be something else. I'm not sure. But either way, I dig it. I vibe with it. It's great times. Well done on track number 2. Shiesty, track number 3, with Joe Sig.
I think they're trying to stick me for my paper. I think they're trying to stick me for my paper. I think they're trying to stick me for my paper. I think they're trying to stick me for my paper. I think they trying to stick me for my paper. Damn.
That call and response, like, damn, I think they're trying to stick me for my. See, I can't rap. I can't rap like these guys can. But just instantly catchy, straight to the point. It's there's no filler. And even though they've got a longer form factor for this track, they are really not taking any chances. They want your attention kept, and they got it. They got it. They got the attention.
I think they trying to stick me for my paper. Watch me buck wild mace window with the saber. Smoke the party out, silent bar with the vapors. And walk away with everything, ocean with the capers. Homie should go back home and check his Google. Double check, yes, I brought the beef like noodles and oodles. Swing around the daily bugle with your new hole. Neighborhood dick down, I destroy her two holes. Coño and cool.
Again, like the motifs and the sequences behind the rapping are just so gentle and friendly and serene that you're just sitting here just vibing to that. And even if there wasn't the vocals, you could just enjoy it regardless. And that's the power of having your accompaniment sorted, is that if you do want to just have a moment without it, you know, without kind of shoving a story down someone's throat, you can do that. And you can have it for 4 to 8 bars and no one's going to complain. You don't even need to add more vocal parts. You can just have that shift of having no vocals to vocals and let that be enough.
Consistent donor, run laps around my opponents like Daytona. Dancing with the devil on the slow dance on the late night like Conan. Barbarian with Kofax, fear no man. 666 on my wrist like an old man. Never take a Lindsay, no hand, but handing out L's like Bazzy got 4 hands. Gliding on my Nimbus in my Jordans, jotting down my thoughts like a 4chan of a notepad.
Dude, talking about Jordans and Dotson and 4chan and Lindsay Lohan and stuff and riffing off of those words and just the flow of it and the smoothness, again, that was foreshadowed in Buttermilk. Damn, this is really something special. I'm gonna be honest, I don't usually do this, but I would, if you're watching this and you haven't, like, heard this album before, I would recommend listening through the rest. I've got a weekend filled with reviewing probably I've got a good half dozen other reviews to do, so I might not listen to it this weekend, but I definitely will be listening through this album in my spare time. It's great. It's fresh. I like those I like the panning of different instruments as well. Nice vocal modulation here. We didn't need that change, but it was appreciated. Dude, this is so solid.
You don't see the truth until you win it. All these rap niggas gotta get.
Damn, that switch over with that sample, pointing the fingers at the back, it's just so seamless, dude.
They don't put their life into their lyrics. That's not the way I move, but I get it. You could have been a doctor or a lawyer. Your parents had it all, you were spoiled. You mad they did everything for you. You wanna say you got it out the soil. Your mind been distorted by this rap shit. Niggas quitting school for this trap shit. Thinking that it's cool, but it's madness. They can never deal with the sadness. They can never be under the gun or face a mother's grief when losing her only son. I can only pray that God save you when niggas try to stick you for your paper. Damn.
That part about the mother losing her only son. Pray for the Lord to save you when you get stuck for your paper. When you get just such a sobering last verse. Because it's like, yeah, there's a lot of glamour in hip hop and rap and trap and all that kind of music nowadays. And there are people who are quitting school to have a career in it. And they're trying to live that life. But I've listened to enough music and stories about this kind of stuff over the last few years to understand that people really go through some stuff. They really go through some stuff in the name of, like, making this kind of music and building their career off of it. Stuff gets really dark. And what a way to finish today. What a way to finish this review.
You wouldn't understand my world. You don't come from my world. You don't know nothing about me. Nah,
Yeah, stop running your fucking mouth, man. Stop running your fucking mouth. You shouldn't. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. You talking about somebody who went to war with police. It's dangerous. Attempted murder. It's dangerous. You don't know nothing about that, man.
Wow.
You sit up here and your job is to play games. Play with something safe, man. Don't play with me.
Like, I don't think we need anything else. I think that we've cemented this as one of the best hip-hop rap albums I've heard all year. I legitimately need to actually make a video about my favorite albums I've reviewed, because there's a lot of bangers this year, eh? A lot of phenomenal albums. But like within this genre, this is in the top 10 for sure. And it may seem ridiculous, right? 10 albums? What? How? I've done like a good couple of hundred reviews so far this year alone. It's been such a pleasure, because the thing is, this is the conclusion of my review of Aktu el Shabazz's K.K.F.W.B, the album. I listened through Buttermilk? Why did I say that weird? Buttermilk, Kumate, and Shiesty. Buttermilk was talking about the smoothness of himself and his life and the way he does his music and that general kind of, there was a swag and a bravado about it, which I feel was justified. And Kumate is the work going into treating like rap and the game like a martial art, you know, and the discipline involved and everything else required in order to quote unquote make it, doing it all on their own. Shiesty was opening up about the attitudes that people showcase, I think, when they enter the rap and hip hop genre, and the pros and cons of it, and how stuff can just get real really quick. You know, especially people who maybe have led a sheltered lifestyle and they just threw it all away just to be part of a scene where things can go terribly wrong. It always impresses me when a musician or an artist can not only showcase the positives of what they do and the genre they're in and what they value and appreciate about it, and they can talk, but they also show the maturity and self-awareness to understand that there's things related to what happens within what they do that maybe are not so great. I like that we've got a balanced viewpoint of Aktu el Shabazz as a person, or at least enough is what we can from the first 3 songs. We're just getting to know them better. There's a bit of vulnerability exposed there, but at the same time, it's easy to digest and absorb. And what I mean by easy to digest is I think part of even the heavier stuff spoken about in the lyrics was made palatable by the way that the music was arranged, produced, written, and recorded. The actual accompaniment to those vocal parts. I mean, to be fair, the rapping was utterly sensational. Both Joe Sig and Aktu el Shabazz nailed their parts in Shiesty. And Aktu also handled well on their own in Kumate and Buttermilk. I've got no complaints about the rap style. You know, the flow was strong. The words came through clearly. I wanted to listen nice and clearly to hear it out. Think they've got a definite future if they can keep at it. And it'll be fun to hear what they do in future. And again, I would recommend if you have not listened to this album before, and if you like what you've heard today, go listen to the rest of it. What else? I mean, yeah, the flow was strong. I like the repetition as well as some of those vocal lines. We were aware enough to understand that we needed to repeat bits to make them memorable and get them stuck in. But from the first moment I heard some of those bits, I was humming along to it and nodding my head because it was really fun. Fun? I would say enjoyable. I enjoyed listening to a lot of the different melodic rhythmic motifs that went on both with the hook lines and also just in general. There was a great sense of awareness of the correct cadence that we needed to deliver lines in. And part of that is also the post-production that it came through so clearly. But like, the structure of these tracks was typically that ABAB structure with some interludes and with spoken word parts. I think Kumate, it had the intro and outro as well with the samples and stuff, as well as Shiesty. And I got no complaints about that either. Like, it's just a really good album. Lots of different instruments, you know, the bass, drums, synth parts, some key parts, you know, etc. Some sort of jazzy instruments as well occasionally, like in Shiesty, but also some lo-fi stuff going on occasionally, and just lots to love. Each of the 3 songs had a discernible, respectable theme here. The elements were stacked well on top of each other in the frequency spectrum, and all in all, just they smashed it. Like, in regards to the coloration, the the smoothness of the, I see the smooth a lot here, the smoothness of the experience. Nothing repelled me at any point really, aside from a shiesty when things got real at the end and I needed to just take a moment, you know. Finally, the recording, mixing and mastering was it was sensational. It's ready for release. This is commercially viable in the sense that it sounds like a major label has released it. I would be very sad if they did not get a lot of exposure for this album. Genuinely, I feel as if there's a lot of potential with these musicians. You know, Aktu el Shabazz and Josig for their feature, and I wish them the best of luck in future. I mean, I could go into like the EQ and stereo panning, the effects change on the various instruments and the vocal parts, filtering, a bit of automation occasionally, limiting compression, but it's as good as it needs to be. It's just top tier. I got nothing bad to say about it. It's really good. Please listen to this album. I'll stop now though. I'll stop telling people to listen to it because it should be apparent they need to do it anyways. But thank you very much for watching this review of Aktu el Shabazz's K.K.F.W.B. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out their various social medias and their Spotify page. And just before I do my full outro, I'm not saying nice things because I feel obligated to. Sometimes I just personally resonate with albums, and that's why I'm really encouraging people to check it out. It's just because I think people would enjoy it, even if it gets a bit heavy sometimes. And stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.